So thank you so much for the nice bhajans. And we are today covering Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, 2 and 3. And so far we have heard about Lord Krishna, about his devotees. Does anyone remember the names of the devotees we heard about? One is Shukadeva Goswami, another is Parikshit Maharaj. We heard about Yamaraj, Vidura, Maitreya, Narad Muni, Bhishma Dev.
Yamaraj.
Yes, Yamaraj. Who?
Kapil
Yes, Kapila Muni, Devahuti, Kardama Muni. So we've heard a lot today, right? So what is the purpose of hearing about Krishna and his devotees? The main thing is to understand that by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, we will become self-realized, which means there's going to be realization, not theoretically, but practically, because theory is very easy. I'm not this body, I'm a spirit soul, that's theory. But how to realize it? When we see others, do we always think about, oh, that's a spirit soul? Oh, there is Lord in the heart of that person. Do we think like that? No. First, attention goes to the body. That is called bodily concept of life. So hearing Srimad Bhagavatam is going to help us become self-realized by the process of bhakti yoga. Bhakti means devotion. Yoga means connect. Connect with the Lord through devotion. And engaging ourselves in devotion, devotional service, like Kapila Muni was explaining to his mother Devahuti, is by constantly hearing and chanting. We will hear about Prahlad Maharaj in the later cantos, and he gives us 9 processes of devotional service. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atmanivedanam. These are the 9 processes. And the first one is Shravanam, which means hearing. And after we hear, then we chant. Shravanam, then Kirtanam, like we did Kirtan, so we chant. When we chant, those powerful sound vibrations, they enter into our ears and they go straight to the heart and purify the heart. That is the purpose of hearing and chanting. So when we do that, then Kapila Muni is explaining that we will be able to become a pure devotee of the Lord. And that will automatically bring about nice good qualities like patience, tolerance, compassion, mercy, friendliness towards others. This will become automatic. We won't have to strive separately for them. And then that person will have no enemies. Do we have enemies? We may not have, but others may consider us enemy, right? Sometimes that also happens. But when we come to that stage of pure love for the Lord, pure devotion, then no enemies. Because no matter what, one is going to be completely peaceful. That is what Srimad Bhagavatam is teaching us, to constantly hear and chant. And that becomes more powerful when we do that in association of devotees. Right? Say supposing we call some drunkards and tell them, come, let's hear Srimad Bhagavatam. Will they hear? No, they'll be all drunk and maybe they'll just sleep over here or whatever. But we associate with like-minded people, spiritually minded people, so that we can learn from each other. And this is how we can progress. There is a beautiful verse which explains the process of bhakti yoga. And it says, Adau Shraddha Tatha Sadhu Sangha Bhajana Kriya Anartha Nivriti. That first we should have Shraddha. Not the lady Shraddha, but faith. We should have faith that there is God. We may not know anything about Him, but at least that faith should be there. There is a Supreme Lord. And then when we have that basic faith, we do sadhu sangha, which means we associate with sadhus, spiritually minded people. And that will lead to bhajana kriya, which means hearing and chanting. That is bhajana kriya. And that will lead to anartha nivritti. What is anartha? Unwanted things. What are the unwanted things in our heart? Lust, anger, greed, pride, envy, illusion. What's the illusion we have? You know, Yudhishthira Maharaj discovered the 8th wonder of the world. How many wonders are there in the world? 7. He discovered the 8th. And that was, everybody is going to die, but they think they are never going to die. That is the 8th wonder of the world. See? So, when we start doing this bhajana kriya, we will understand the purpose of human form of life. Most people, they think that it is only eat, sleep and be merry. How many of people you've met who say there's no life after death? Many, right? They think, whatever, finish here, now finish, that's it. Then how does karma work? Why is it that 2 babies are born at the same time in the same hospital, one with a silver spoon and the other poor, one who is fully normal, the other disabled, one is very rich, now this? Why? The babies have not done any work, right? They haven't performed any actions. Then how come they are in that different situation? It's past karma. So there is life after death. So this process, the Srimad Bhagavatam is teaching us how to do bhakti yoga so that we can remove anarthas from our heart, unwanted things from our heart. Very, very important. And the topmost is pride. Pride comes before the fall. Have you heard that before? Right? So if there's pride, there has to be fall. You know, how many of you heard about the Titanic? All of us, right? Titanic. The captain of Titanic was very proud. Why? Because it was the best ship ever that was constructed, built, right? The huge, gigantic ship with all the beautiful facilities. And it was going on a maiden voyage, and he was the captain of the maiden voyage. He was very proud. And when it was on his maiden voyage, it is said that he received many signals from the control room. Change the course, change the course. Did he listen? No. That's why Titanic sank. But guess what? He did not die. He was a cause of death of so many passengers, but he did not die. Why? Because when the Titanic hit I believe the iceberg, right? It hit the iceberg. There was some flow of oil from somewhere, and he got covered in oil, the captain. And then when he was in the water, he didn't sink because of the oil. Can you believe that? What luck. But 10 years later, and guess what? I heard that even though he realized that it was because of his pride, he didn't listen to the control tower, that there was this destruction, he never accepted that. Pride. And 10 years later, it is said that he was in a bar and he was solid drunk. What happens when you're drunk? Have you tried it? Because you answered immediately.
If I had tried it, I couldn't answer. I have seen it.
Oh. You see? So, when a person is drunk, they don't know right from left. They don't know go straight or back. They don't know where they are. They may just fall on the street and think that's my home and then just fall asleep there, right? So what happened, while he was walking, he was so drunk, he was like, what is that called? Swaying, yes. He was not able to walk straight. And he fell on his face on the street. And guess what? He fell, there was a puddle of water and he fell there. And because he was drunk, he could not move himself. He could not come out of the puddle. He couldn't turn himself or do anything, and he died in that puddle of water. Saved in the ocean, but died in a puddle of water. Pride is very, very dangerous, and that is what is being explained here in the Srimad Bhagavatam, that if we do not practice hearing and chanting the holy names of the Lord, then we will not be able to remove these unwanted things from the heart. And if we are not able to do that, then we will not get the visa stamped on our passports to go back to the spiritual world. When we came to the US, we needed a visa, right? Or did we just sneak in? No. We needed a stamp on our passport, right? So similarly, we need to stamp our passport, which has a spiritual visa stamped on it, that tells us we are qualified to go back to the spiritual. So in today's 3 cantos that we learned, Canto 1, Canto 2, and Canto 3, Krishna, through his devotees, he's explaining to us that those who follow this cycle of liberation, those who follow this process of bhakti yoga and come out of this cycle of birth, disease, old age and death, when they come out of this cycle, they get liberated, and he says, ultimately they come to my abode. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains, he gives a description of his abode. Now supposing, if I'm invited to some place, like someone says, why don't you come to Detroit, right? From Atlanta to Detroit. The first thing that I will do is I will find out what's in Detroit. Yes or no? Yeah? When I'm going someplace, I should have some knowledge. What is there? What are the attractions? Where can I stay? Where can I eat? All that knowledge is. So similarly, Krishna is giving us knowledge about his abode, that when you come there, you should know what to expect. It is called Chintamani Dham. Krishna Dham. Dham means abode. That is Krishna's abode, Chintamani Dham. And he says, in Bhagavad Gita, he explains that in that Chintamani Dham, he says there is no need for electricity. That doesn't mean there's darkness. That means the effulgence coming out from the body of Krishna, the Brahma Jyoti coming out from the body of Krishna, illuminates the whole spiritual world. There is a desire tree. How many of us want a desire tree? You stand and you desire and you get it. Won't that be wonderful? So there is, yes, Kalpa Vriksha is there in the spiritual abode, which is called Krishna Loka or Goloka Vrindavan. That is where is Kalpa Vriksha. All the desires are fulfilled. But guess what? One who is liberated, who's got mukti, who has become self-realized, when they go to the spiritual abode, do you think they will stand near Kalpa Vriksha and say, I want a Tesla or I want a Mercedes? Or no, because there is there's full purification. There will be no desire for anything material. The only desire one will have is, how can I serve the Supreme Lord? How can I chant more? How can I hear Krishna Katha? How can I sit there and hear Srimad Bhagavatam? So it's not just that we are going to hear Bhagavatam here 5 days, but there is Bhagavatam Katha even in Krishna Loka. So Krishna is explaining to us through Bhagavad Gita, through Srimad Bhagavatam, that how we can purify our hearts, our mind, our consciousness, and become liberated. Unfortunately, most people have the idea of liberation is mukti after death, right? Isn't that what we've heard? No. Bhagavad Gita explains mukti is a state of consciousness. So while we are in this body, in this material world, we can still be liberated, which means our hearts have become purified. all the unwanted things have gone away. So this is what is the Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 1, 2 and 3 talking about, what are the 10 subjects that will be covered in all the 12 cantos. What is the meaning of each subject. It will be elaborated, and also what we can learn from the lives of the devotees of the Supreme Lord. What will we learn from the Supreme Lord himself? When we come to 10th canto, it's going to be full of pastimes of Krishna. First we will hear about his appearance. How does he appear? Of course, my mother, when I was little, growing up, my parents, we celebrated Janmashtami. We worshipped Lord Krishna at home. We would do bhajans every day. But my mother did not have knowledge of Srimad Bhagavatam. So she celebrated Janmashtami the way her mother taught her. And that was, she explained that Krishna is born out of a cucumber from a kira. So she would hide Bal Gopal inside the cucumber on the jhula, and then at midnight we will all be chanting and dancing, and Krishna will come out of a cucumber. Isn't that sweet? A sweet pastime, right? So she taught us what she knew. And that is what we will learn. We will not learn that in 10th canto, that he comes out of cucumber. No, but we will learn exactly from Krishna's own mouth, how did he appear, that beautiful pastime. So today we have covered Canto 1, 2 and 3. And I'm going to end now, and I'll leave some time for any questions if anyone has any questions.